It's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. It's the place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that great big subscribe button and the bell icon now for inspirational videos, asexuality videos, asexual life videos, and so much more. Dating, relationships, I cover everything you could possibly dream of about asexuality, love life, that weird thing called sex, which I don't personally do, and dating, relationships, whatever you want is all here on this channel. So I've been to Disneyland Paris, and I'm going to be doing a whole week of reviews of different aspects of Disneyland Paris from my own asexual point of view. So if that sounds something like you're interested in, stay tuned. This is part one of Disneyland Paris review, and each day I'm going to cover a different topic. So today's topic, I'm covering this shocking thing. Is romance and PDA dead? So if you don't know what PDA stands for, it stands for public displays of affection. So I'm a romantic asexual. This means I get romantically attracted, in my case, to guys, because I'm a hetero romantic asexual. So some people don't know this term. Like, what is hetero romantic mean? Hetero means I'm attracted to the opposite gender, which in my case is guys. I'm a cis female, born female, assigned female at birth, however you want to describe that. And I only get attracted to guys. I'm not attracted to women at all. So I get attracted to guys in multiple ways, but not sexually. So I get attracted to guys aesthetically, romantically, sensually with the guy's upper body. I have clothes attraction, creative attraction, intelligence attraction, emotional attraction. And so that can be quite difficult having all those multiple attractions. I don't have all those attractions for every different guy I meet. I don't get attracted to every guy I meet. I have a specific type of look I usually get attracted to the most. I can become more attracted to a guy due to his personality. Liam. Hi, beautiful Sandra. Oh, hello. Lots of love to you. Nice to see you. So yes, that's Liam in chat. Liam's a regular. Hello, Liam. I love Liam on this show. He's amazing. So I get close attraction. And one of the things that I want to draw your attention to, first of all, with Disneyland Paris, is they have a lot of nice clothes. So if you're looking to update your wardrobe, get some new gear, Marvel style, Star Wars style, Disney character style, Disneyland Paris is definitely the place to be. Now, I got a brand new jacket. It's currently sat in a pile ready to be washed because I pretty much wore it out while I was there. But yes, I got a Star Wars jacket. I did post a shorts video about that, and it's basically, it says Disneyland Paris like Star Wars, and it's got I think it says Disneyland Paris on it. It says Star Wars on it anyway. It's got like a stormtrooper on the back of it, and it's gold and black, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. And I loved a lot of the clothes in Disneyland Paris. And this is relevant because I was picturing foreign guys in these clothes, guys that I would usually be attracted to in these clothes, and thinking, yeah, they would just look so good in these clothes. I tend to go for younger foreign guys in terms of looks the most. I'm not mostly attracted to them. But as I said, I can get attracted to a guy more due to his personality. That's if I've got to know him for a while, so built emotional attraction with him. And so the clothes were really good. So in terms of romance, I'm extremely romantic. I'm a hyper romantic, so I'm excessively romantic. But even though I'm excessively romantic, I still think there's basic romantic things that people who are of a romantic nature usually do. And I know some asexuals are not romantic at all, so you probably are not going to be fond of this video, but this is one of multiple review videos of Disneyland Paris. But I wanted to do this first because I was absolutely shocked that I felt when I went to Disneyland Paris that romance and public displays of affection seemed like they were dead. This means there were barely any in existence. So for all the aromantic asexuals, those that lack romantic attraction that are watching this video right now, I think you'd like Disneyland Paris at the moment. Because other than families, like parents holding their kids' hands, which can be a safety thing, not just a loving thing, then I wouldn't say there was much romance going on and much public displays of affection. Obviously, you're not romantic with your kids, but I'm talking about public displays of affection. Holding hands is a public display of affection. You can hold hands with your children if you've got kids, right? But I was shocked at the lack of romance and the lack of public displays of affection throughout the whole park. Liam, hi, beautiful Sandra. Public displays of affection of overrated. Ah, right, okay. I personally love public displays of affection. I'm the opposite to you, Liam, in that way, which I appreciate you've got a different viewpoint to me, but I actually think that they're not rated enough, especially not in Disneyland Paris. I was absolutely shocked at the lack of public displays of affection. And obviously, like, it's important if you are a parent to show your kids love and affection and hold their hand and stuff. It's important that as kids, they know that they're loved and cherished and adored so they grow into adults that are healthy and have good self-esteem and good self-confidence and good self-worth. If kids are not shown love and affection when they're affection as in parental affection when they're young, it translates into I'm not worthy of love when I'm older. I'm ugly, I don't look good, or I'm not worth your time, or I'm not worth anything. I'm not worth loving, I'm not worth caring about. And so therefore that translates later into kids growing up thinking bad about themselves, not liking their life, depression, mental illness, stuff like that. So it is really important to show affection to kids, but if we go to adult now, romance and public displays of affection, I was absolutely shocked throughout the park because I was on my own. I wasn't really speaking to anyone. I went for my 21st mindset birthday to Disneyland Paris. I paid for myself because I value myself. I love myself. And it's been my dream to go back there since 2017. 2017 was their 25th anniversary. And this year's been their 30th anniversary, which is actually started last year, but they're doing a whole year of their anniversary. So, I was observing a lot because I wasn't able to talk to many people because I don't know many people. I did engage obviously with the staff where I said, well, you have to tell the staff like what pass you've got and stuff like that. But other than that, I barely spoke to anyone. There was a guy and a daughter that I spoke to on the last day. But other than that, I was pretty much like with myself. But obviously, I was doing some video streaming and some shorts, but my battery kept dying. So it's quite hard to do it. So I've got quite a lot of footage still to upload as well because I was trying to preserve my battery. So I did a lot of videos to my phone directly rather than just uploading them to YouTube all the time, which took a lot more battery power. So that's to come, which is really exciting. But going back to like my observations, I could observe a lot more because obviously I am not speaking to hardly anyone. And all I've got really is my own thoughts in my own head, what I want to do next on terms of rides, looking after myself with food and drink, going to the toilet, etc. And thinking about what footage to take. And also I'm observing people all the time because it's good to observe people because you can learn a lot and you can also use your own experience to think how you would do something better if you see some scenarios that maybe isn't so good. But actually Disneyland Paris was beautiful atmosphere, the majority of the time it's absolutely fantastic. And so going back to public displays of affection and romance, I was absolutely shocked because to me, Disneyland Paris is one of the most romantic places in the world, as well as exciting and invigorating. And I love the feeling of magic and wonder and excitement. And I got all of those with Disneyland Paris. It's very much lights, camera, action, noise, living your dreams, being high on music and life. And it's just wonderful. And it's so at peace with my soul. And my soul is so at peace with that, should I say. And so when I was observing, I just thought, where is like the adults, for example, it seemed like when the adults have got kids, they don't show public displays of affection to each other. And it's like there was hardly anyone kissing in the whole of the park, which I was absolutely shocked by. There was a few people holding hands. I'm talking about adults rather than adults with kids. There's quite a few adults with kids holding hands, but adults with adults, there was some, but I was absolutely shocked at the lack of public displays of affection, the lack of romantic affection. It made me feel like I was an outsider in that way, as in, like, I seem to be so unique with my romance. I'm like, where has it gone? Like, I felt like I was living in a bit of a, like, I don't know. It was weird. It was almost like I'm so unique and so different to everyone else. So I just can't relate to why people. I know, I understand aromantic asexuals don't experience romantic attraction. A lot, a lot can be romance repulsed. I get that. But in terms of, I thought a lot of people were romantic in nature, and a lot of the world seems to promote romance a lot. I was absolutely shocked at the lack of romance. I felt like I was the only one that was really super romantic, apart from a few couples. And it was, like, shocking for me. I'm there thinking this is really romantic just for being with myself, let alone anyone else. But I was thinking if I was with a boyfriend, for example, a life partner, I would be wanting to kiss him all the time and cuddle him all the time and hold hands and be really affectionate, because that's what I'm like. And I was thinking to myself, if I do get into a relationship with a guy, I need a guy to be so romantic like me, and to love kissing like I'll be, like I do, and just public displays of affection, because I could not be with someone who would not be doing that, because I just think I'm better off on my own, like, than being with someone who wouldn't do that with me, because that's one of the things I really love to do with someone. It's hard not doing that on my own. But kissing, cuddling myself in public might be a bit weird on my own. But you know what I mean? But yes, I just was shocked. There was a few couples, but that wasn't very many out of the whole park. I only saw, what, 3 or something? Maybe 5? It was like, this is like over 4 days. I'm like, what is going on, people? What is going on? I'm trying to think if there are any others. Well, there was 2 for Buzz Lightyear, and 2 people were cuddling their partners then. So I guess that's another 2. But we're talking like thousands of people in the park, and, like, I probably could count on a couple of hands the amount of people that were showing romantic attraction, romance, And so I honestly felt like, am I the only one in the world that likes romance so much? But I can't be, surely. When I go to nightclubs, it's completely different. Like, loads of people are usually, like, into each other and kissing and stuff there. Well, last time I went especially, So it's kind of really weird. But to me, Disneyland Paris is a place where you would kiss and hold hands and cuddle and stuff, because it's really romantic. So yeah, I was quite surprised at the lack of romance, the lack of public display of affection. I'm thinking, is this the state of the world now? The romance and public display of affection is just dead. And then when people get married and have kids, they have no time to be romantic with each other. No, they don't display any public displays of affection with each other. They're just like, oh, let's get married, have sex, have kids, and then that's it. That's our relationship. And to me, like, everyone in the park, the majority of people were just like friends, because there wasn't any romance there, And I know for romantic asexuals, that would be hard, but for aromantic asexuals, so like romantic attraction, that'd be a perfect environment for you, because it'd be like, like, people aren't overly affectionate. People aren't being affectionate at all. And it's just like, you wouldn't even think they're a couple or married or together in a romantic way. You just think they're like family, and that's it. They're all family, even the husband and wife. But in terms of obviously they are family because they're married, but it's like, it's almost like the romance has died once they got married and had kids, and it's just like they don't show any affection. They don't. You would have thought they were just like people in a place with each other that didn't have any romantic connection towards the other. There was nothing there. It was really weird for me to observe that. Because whenever I've been to Disneyland Paris before, I've never ever like really observed the fact that people aren't very affectionate with each other and not very romantically inclined towards each other. Like, I was absolutely shocked and gobsmacked at the lack of romance, the lack of public displays of affection. For me, if I don't have public displays of affection or romantic stuff going on, if I'm in a relationship, I just don't feel right at all because I'm hugely romantic. And so that really surprised me. And it led me to like think a lot like, is romance dead? Is public displays of affection dead? You know, is it just that there were some older people, but there was quite a lot of young couples there, you know? I wouldn't say there was that older people there, but it's really weird. I felt like, am I living in a different time zone or something, or time warp, or different? Like, am I just so different? And so that was really hard for me to look at that, thinking, but it was good in a way because if I see lots of people kissing, then it activates my hyper romanticism and my need to kiss more and more and more. And so, because there wasn't barely any people kissing at all, like even the people that hold hands, most of them weren't kissing. There's hardly any people kissing. I can't even think of people kissing. Then you know what I mean? It didn't activate my hyper romanticism. So I guess from that point of view, it's quite good for me and healthy in the sense that because I can get overactive on the romance front and kissing front and very like I need to kiss now. And so I didn't have really any of that going on because there wasn't that activation because people weren't doing that. Kissing, that is. So yeah, I just thought it's really, really weird. And I don't like the fact when people get married, it's like the romance starts, it's like before they get married, it's all exciting and romantic. And I know in general in relationships, like some of the excitement can fizzle out or fizzle off, or it becomes a different type of excitement. But I'm an excitable person, and I find that when you kiss someone, it makes you naturally like excitable, and I guess it makes people aroused. I can get aroused through kissing, and I guess like if a guy was with me and I was kissing the whole time, and he wasn't asexual, especially, then he'd probably get aroused all the time. But it make life more exciting for him, but it probably wouldn't be very good in the sense that he couldn't do anything about it when he's in a park or whatever, you know. But what I'm trying to say is, I felt like I'm one of like in a gazillion people who actually like really is into romance and public displays of affection. I feel like I'm really rare now, whereas I thought the majority of the world were like that. But when I observe Disneyland Paris people, I'm like, they're not like that at all. So my question is romance dying off? Is public displays of affection dying off when people get into long-term relationships, especially? Or is it still active? Like, I was in a long-term relationship in total for 8.5 years. And throughout that whole time, me and the guy I was with was, you know, kissing loads in public and holding hands and public displays of affection pretty much all the time. Towards the end of the relationship, when things were coming to an end between us, there's probably a bit less because we didn't see each other as much. But I remember the whole entire relationship pretty much whenever we'd be out to theme parks, zoos, aquariums, you know, we'd always be kissing and cuddling. And I used to really like that. It was very natural for us both to do that. And it was something that I really enjoyed. And it was something that added excitement to the event we were going to, where it was aquarium or zoo. It just like meant that I would like with the theme park, I was excited to be at the theme park, and while I was waiting in the queue, I was like kissing, so it's more excitement for me. So it's just like really strange um to think that it seems like that's dead a lot of the time. Because I wouldn't want to get into a relationship with a guy and then he just not bother being affectionate with me after a while and not bother having public displays of affection romance. That would really not be good for me because I'm a hyper romantic, hyper kisser, and I have those needs, you know? So I was absolutely shocked. I mean, what is your observation? Have you observed lately the people being romantic, non romantic, people having public displays of affection or not? Do you know what I mean? What's your view on that? Because to me, it was just like it was dead. It's non-existent. And that made me a bit sad in the sense I'm thinking, well, is it going to be harder for me to date and find a guy that matches my needs then? And I often find younger guys are more public displays of affection than older guys. But eventually, younger guys get older, so I wouldn't want to be with a guy who just decided, oh, I don't want to do that later on, because that's very important to me. And I like a lot of physical contact. Like I was reflecting on sensual attraction. So sensual attraction is when you like touching the person's skin, certain parts of their body, you like being sensually touching them. And I'm very sensual with that guy's upper body. It drew attention to the amount of sensuality I have. I'm not interested below the waist, as in touching and that. I do like sitting on guy's lap in between his legs if I'm in a relationship. But in terms of sensual touching, I like to like being close physical contact nearly all the time with someone, with a guy I'm in a relationship with. So for me, aesthetic, romantic, and sensual attraction as an asexual is really important. So every asexual is different and they experience different attractions or no attraction. But for me, sensual attraction is really important. Like I need to be physically connected to the guy I'm with the majority of the time. I need to be holding his hand, stroking his hair, cuddling him, kissing him. I need that really close physical bond, like the majority of the time. And so, when you go to a place like that and you are observing people or observing things, you reflect a lot on your own life and what you think you want to improve, what you think you want to do going forward, what you like, what you dislike. And I just thought it was really good for me to be able to see what I like and what I dislike right in front of my eyes, and how sensual I am, how much physical contact I do like, because there's kind of a stigma where some people think asexuals don't want any physical contact and some asexuals don't. But it's quite a very big stereotype. And, as an asexual person who does experience sensual attraction, it's kind of really imperative that I do have a lot of physical contact with a guy. I just don't want it to be leading to sex, because I'm not interested in sex and genitalia. I'm interested in being physically connected to the guy I'm with. I just like to feel that all the time. So I think when you're doing dating and relationships, it's really important to find someone who's compatible for your asexual attractions and asexual needs, because everyone's different. Obviously, if you don't like public displays of affection yourself, then you need to find someone who's also like that, because then you'll be compatible. I need to find a guy who loves kissing and cuddling and holding hands in public, who loves being physically close to the person they're in a relationship with the majority of the time. Because if you get two people who enjoy the same things and that same level of intimacy, whether that be not that much intimacy or a lot of intimacy, you're going to have a much more healthier, happy, smooth riding relationship. But if you get someone who's just the opposite to you, it's going to lead to disharmony for both of you. So I'd like you to observe and think when you're going into dating relationships, like what are your specific needs? Like, do you have sensual attraction? Do you have aesthetic attraction? Do you have a romantic attraction? Do you have emotional attraction? Is your emotional needs very strong? Emotional attraction is a very big thing, actually. Emotional attraction is when you're emotionally connected to someone, you feel an emotional pull towards them. And when you're emotionally connected to someone rather than just emotionally attracted, you kind of have a sense of soul connection as well with them. So I have experienced spiritual attraction, and spiritual attraction, emotional attraction can go together hand in hand, because emotional attraction creates an emotional bond with you. When you're spiritually attracted to someone, you feel like you're bonded to them automatically. And so they kind of go very well together. So when you're, like I said, when you're doing dating relationships, please consider the types of attractions that you have. Like, obviously, if you are an aromantic asexual, someone who doesn't experience romantic attraction, then you need to find another aromantic asexual. Um, Or you could find an aromantic sexual person, but then they're going to want sex a lot. You know what I mean? Usually, in my experience. So an aromantic asexual is going to be better for you if you don't want sex yourself. And so I really want you to think quite deep and meaningful about if you do want to date and go into a relationship, like what is your level of physical comfortability with physical affection and, you know, kissing and cuddling and that. I think it's very important. I find it really hard as an asexual person doing dating relationships when I'm so sensual and I like a lot of physical contact, but I don't like sex and I like to keep my clothes on. That they don't usually go hand in hand, you know. Usually people are sexual beings in nature. They like loads of physical contact and sexual stuff and touching and nakedness. I, on the other hand, are like the super romantic, excessively romantic, but like a lot of physical touch with the upper body clothed. And so I find that's very difficult because it's like a lot more um physical contact than some asexuals would like and be comfortable with. But for heterosexuals, it does suit them quite well, but only for them if it leads to sex, really, you know? And that's what I don't want. So it's very good to use these times alone, though, to observe other people. When I say time alone, I mean when you're not talking to anyone, it's very good to reflect. So I was doing a lot of self-reflection when in Disneyland Paris as well as just enjoying myself there. And, you know, I need to find a guy that's really like me, hugely compatible with me. Because if you have two people that are the same in terms of physical affection, then it can be very exciting and very beautiful. But if you've got two people that don't want that, one person wants the other doesn't, it's no good. I'm going to have to go because I'm coughing. Excuse me. I've got a doctor's appointment on Monday. I'm going to have to go because my voice is like, it's like irritated. It keeps wanting to cough. So yeah, I've had a bad chest now. Well, coughing stuff up for like a month, including Disneyland Paris. But I don't show you that on camera because it's pretty gross. But yeah, so I think it's really important. My point is to observe the world around you. Consider where you fit into that. And if you don't fit in or don't fit in very much, like find a way to find your own peace and happiness and find a way to express yourself enough that you find someone who's compatible for you. Because there will be someone compatible. There's bound to be someone. I mean, there are some guys who I do see in their dating profile, I'm a hopeless romantic. I don't know if they're as romantic as me, though. I really don't know that. I don't think there's that many people who are hyper romantic. I've met a few asexuals that are hyper romantic, but I'm not sure they're into public displays of affection as much as me, which is another thing. So if you come across people that are excessively romantic or love romance, you have to ask them, you know, like, do you like that in public or just in private? Because some people might be hugely romantic, but they don't like doing that in public, you know? And again, it's a compatibility issue, right? If you get one person who loves public displays of affection, the other person who really doesn't want it, they're just not going to please each other. One person's going to feel like I can't be myself in public around this person. The other person's going to feel like I just don't feel comfortable in public doing this. And so it's just going to like backfire and be horrible. They're not compatible. But I'd like you to pay attention to if you think that public displays of affection and romance in public's dead or not. I would say in everyday life, I do see romance and public displays of affection, like in nightclubs and stuff like that. I guess not everyone goes clubbing, but in comparison to like Disneyland Paris, which is meant to be the most well, to my mind, meant to be one of the most romantic places, then you know I was just shocked at the lack of it. And maybe that's different for other people. Maybe people don't go to Disneyland Paris thinking it's really romantic. They just think I'm going to swing upside down on roller coasters and scare the shit out of myself, excuse my language, because some of the rides are really scary. But to me, if you're having affection just before a scary ride and after, it's even better. You know, it's like excitement and scariness at the same time mixed them together. It's just good. But yeah, I like alone in thinking Disneyland Paris is really magical and romantic. Like, what's going on? Like, I don't want to get married, but at all. But if I did, Disneyland Paris is quite a good setting to do it in, I think, because it's quite exciting. But there you go. I don't know why I just randomly thought of that when I don't like marriage, but there you go. If I was doing a partnership bond, I'd just rather do partnership bond. But anyway, yes. So public displays of affection, like public displays of affection, or kissing, cuddling, holding hands in public, basically. But some sexuals do take it to a level more. So you can find some sexuals do like put the hand on the girl, like a guy puts his hand on the girl's bum. I did see that once in Disneyland Paris. Um, but that's quite, like to me, I don't like a guy's hand on my backside. Like if he's got it to just the top of it, maybe, but not further down on the right on the bum cheek. I just don't like that. But I have had the ex-boyfriends do that in the past, and when I tried to do that back to him, the last guy, and I was in a long-term relationship with, he didn't like it. And I used to say to him, like, why are you doing that with me? Then you don't want me to do it back. If you don't want me to do it back, then don't do it to me, because that's, like I said, I didn't really like that very much. I think that's too personal, too private, because it's a bum. I have my limitations. But I don't mind sitting on a guy's lap or in between his legs in public. That's what I mean. You gotta, when you're doing dating relationships, really like get down to the business of asking the person exactly what they like and don't like. Because like I'm asexual and I don't want the guy's bitting me, but I don't mind sitting in between his legs, and if he's that, I can feel that with him clothed, I don't have a problem with that. Because to me that's a lot more natural than like taking your clothes off and trying to push something in something. I'm trying to be as subtle as possible here, like a sledgehammer. So yeah, it's kind of weird, and like having sex to me is not romantic in nature. And I don't associate sex with love as an asexual person. I never have done. To me, sex is just an act that two people decide to do or not do. And yes, some people can love each other that do it, and some people who do it might not love each other. Or one person might, the other person might not. But it's kind of a sticky mess sometimes. And I can understand that if you love someone, it probably makes it a much better experience than if you don't. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that with someone I didn't love or thought I loved, I wouldn't, I don't want to do it anyway, but I'm just thinking if I did do that like I did in the past, then I wouldn't want to do that with someone I didn't love. And I think it's much better to have sex if you're going to do that inside a serious committed relationship. But I am quite sexual in behavior, I would say. Like, in terms of kissing and cuddling, I would say I'm quite sexual in behavior. And it's like, I feel like when I'm in Disneyland Paris, I'm like, people are not giving public displays of affection. People are not being really romantic with each other. I probably have more sexual behavior than these people are doing right now in front of me. And they're probably majority heterosexuals. I'm like, what's going on? I feel like a bit of an alien and an outsider. I'm like, hello, have I gone into a different world? But obviously Disneyland Paris is a different world, but it's not like it's like come here and don't ever show disaffection. It's just weird. I found that very weird, because I don't remember it being like that before, but maybe I just wasn't observing it from that point of view before. Like, because I decided, like, well, I haven't got anyone to talk to because I didn't go with anyone. So it means that what else can I do but observe? I'm observing my surroundings, obviously, and the scenery, which is beautiful, and the castle and all that type of thing, and parades and stuff. But while I'm in queues, I'm also thinking, like, what else can I think about, if you know what I mean? And let's analyze, let's see how people interact. That I did spot about 3 girls crying there, though, which were you with young guys, and I'm presuming the guys upset them in the relationship somehow, because in the past, I've had guys upsetting me, and I used to cry with my boyfriends in the past because some of them weren't very nice. Quite a lot of them weren't very nice, and so they might upset me. So I did observe about 3 girls crying with their boyfriends. So I'm presuming it's a presumption that they upset their partner somehow. Unfortunately, a lot of guys act very assholeish. I'm not saying every guy's like that, but there's quite a lot of guys that act like assholes because they come from a pride point of view. They come from a point of view that's dishonest, and they're just very egotistically driven, a lot of guys, young guys especially, but older guys as well, because guys are not really taught the value of respect, and they're not really taught the value of being sensitive and kind and compassionate. Guys seem to be taught more to be like, it's a bit more like, be the macho man, you know, withdraw your feelings, hold back, be in control, never ever like show your woman affection, or never let, make sure you're the boss. And it's just like really bad. And so, that's not good. I'm going to come on to another video throughout these series of videos more about how a guy can be better in a relationship with a woman, because I observed something on Eurostar, which I'm not going to go into at the moment because I'm saving that for another video, was a guy behaving badly, basically. And so I want to do a video specifically on that, about how guys can behave better, and be better with their woman, because I think that's a very important video to do, which is like dating and relationship video, but not for this particular moment. So I want to keep different topics for different videos. But yeah, I mean, from a hyper romantic or even a romantic point of view, I was thinking I really need to had clarity the fact I really need to find a guy who values physical touch like I do. But the thing with me is I don't want to go around physically touching everyone and anyone and loads of people. I value physical touch in an actual intimate relationship more than anything. Like, I actually don't like people touching me, like older guys touching me, like on, what I mean? Like, for example, if I go to a social event, like I went to try the salsa dancing, right? But I didn't want a guy who's an older guy to be dancing with me, because I didn't want him touching me, because I get quite repulsed by that idea, because I don't like older guys in terms of attraction. And I've observed with myself, which might be very, very strange to most people. It's kind of weird, but I didn't really realize that people aren't like this. It just seems to be me like it. It's like I can't really dance with someone I'm not attracted to. Like, I don't want to physically touch someone I'm not attracted to in general, in a general sense. There are exceptions, right? So if I do a meetup, for example, an asexual meetup, I will hug people, some people at those, and I might be some guys that are older guys that I would hug to say hello or goodbye as part of a meetup host role, right? It's not something I usually do or do all the time, but I would be willing to or have done that in the past. And, in certain scenarios, I would do it in a more kind of like formal fashion. But in terms of like dancing, like doing dancing and holding hands dancing and stuff, I don't want to just be dancing with anyone. And I find that like it's very different to other people. Like, other people don't seem to care who they dance around, because when I did the salsa dancing, I specifically saying to the organizer, like, who am I going to be dancing with? Because I don't want to just dance with anyone. Like, I'm really uncomfortable dancing with older guys, and I had to tell him that. I did actually try dancing with older guy. Was it a couple of years ago? But I had to dance with older guys, and I didn't like it. So the instructor was, it was a dance instructor that I met through Facebook, and he was holding dance lessons in Exeter, in my city in the UK. So I decided to go for this dance lesson, and he told me that he would be my partner, which I thought was good. He's a bit older than I would like, but he was coloured foreign guy, so I would feel more comfortable. And he was the instructor, so I thought I was going to get a really good lesson. But when I got there, because I'm asexual, because he knows I'm asexual, I'm not a sexual person, he decided to dance with this girl that was quite highly sexual with him. And so in the end, all I had was the choice of dancing with other guys, which predominantly the majority of them older. And I felt so uncomfortable, I never went back again. There was like a time where there's one or two younger guys there, but then we had to swap partners all the time, and it was like, I can't be doing with it. I just don't feel comfortable with it at all. That's why I really need to be with a younger guy, because I'm just not physically comfortable. It wasn't always like this, in the sense that when I was younger and birth certificate age, in terms of like having a boyfriend partner, my ideal would be to have a guy who was the same age as me, birth certificate age, or older, like 1 year or something older than me, not much more older than me, but like a little bit older than me was fine, or the same age. And then the last long-term boyfriend I had, he was 3.5 years younger than me, but he looked a lot younger than he was. And I liked that best than all the previous relationships I had, in terms of how much attraction I had for him, how much physical touch I liked him and was comfortable with him doing with me, and physical affection and public displays of affection. And because he didn't really age, he was this very skinny guy, whereas a previous long-term ex had been a very large guy, well, become a very large guy. And the other one, previous long-term ex, I think he was exactly the same age as me, like, or half a year older or something, I don't know. But basically the same age as me. Yeah. So I know all this about myself, and I only feel really physically comfortable around guys in their 20s usually, because it's my mindset age, my soul age, my personality age. My birth certificate age I just don't relate to at all. To me, it's just like a piece of paper. And I've changed clearly over time. And, some people are like, can someone change? Like, can a person change? Even in a dating relationship scenario, they can change, but you cannot make someone change. Right? The person has to change of their own accord. So years ago, I used to want to get married. I don't anymore. I don't like marriage anymore. I've never wanted children since I've been 15. That's never changed. But some people can change. Like, I'm extroverted these days. I used to be very introverted as a child. I'm younger now. I used to be older when I was younger and burst of age. So people can change, and people do change because of the life experiences they have, because situations don't turn out the way they'd hoped that it would turn out, because people realize sometimes that the life that they're leading is not actually the one for them, that it's a lot of programming and conditioning. And like, I know that I like public displays of affection and romance because I like it for me. Even if the majority of the world decide they don't like that and don't really want it and don't really need it, that's fine. But I still do need that, right? Because I've got my own needs. And, because I observe these people in Disneyland Paris not being that way, I'm thinking that it seemed like it was a very aromantic actual environment. Yuva, hello. As asexuals, we're not lucky in relationships. Point of view, as asexuals, we're not lucky in relationships. It's nice to see you, by the way. Lots of love to you. Yeah. I have to say, in terms of your comment, Yuva, that I do know some asexuals, like 2 asexuals are on my Facebook friends list, who actually married 2 other asexuals, and they are really in love with each other and they're really happy together. And so there are rare instances where, they can be very lucky in relationships. There's another asexual, aromantic asexual I know, actually, who's in a long-term marriage with another person. I don't and so therefore, you know, they're together, so they are really happy. So what's your question? Why? Why what? I don't understand your question. If you can iterate it more. So yeah, so they're happily married. So you can find compatible people. Just from my point of view, because I'm very romantic and I like a lot of physical touch. I'm very sensual and very loving public displays of affection. I find that harder, because I find that sexual people, heterosexuals in general, tend to be more geared towards that type of thing, but only if it leads to sex. Usually, a lot of the time, or sex is involved on a regular basis in their relationship. And so I think that's quite difficult. But I think it's best with any dating relationship scenario that you know yourself really, really well, and that you understand your needs, likes, wants, dislikes that's unique to you. Because it's no good pretending to be someone you're not. It's no good trying to force yourself to be romantic or force yourself, to be non-romantic. It's no good trying to push yourself to be something you're not. Either you'll naturally evolve and change over time, or you need to just trust yourself and find someone who's compatible with you right now. Like I was explaining how I changed because I like public displays of affection now more than ever. I like kissing in public now, but I've always liked kissing in public. I remember when I was 15 in birth certificate age, I think 14, 15. I might have been 14 actually, but I had this boyfriend at the time, and me and him were kissing loads in public, and it was really nice, and I really liked that. And so I've not really changed so much on that, apart from I would say I like it more because I'm more self-aware of how much I do like it and how much I do enjoy it. And so therefore I guess it creates a bigger impact in my mind. Whereas maybe it's the same level I've always been, but I feel that I'm more inclined for that now because I won't be with a guy who doesn't do that, which is difficult with me liking guys from different cultures, because a lot of guys from different cultures, like Indian guys, Pakistani guys, Bangladeshi guys, Middle Eastern guys, a lot of these guys don't give public displays of affection. Some do, because I've seen some even in my city, but oh, I have to say something good though. There was when I was going on the train, I did do a post about this, not a shorts, but I wrote about it. There was two guys sat on the table opposite me, opposite side to me, and they were holding hands and kissing. Oh, Yuva says you're agreeing with me. All right, okay, cool. And so, yeah, there was two guys sat opposite me, and one looked older than the other, and they were holding hands and like doing kissing stuff. So this was on the train going to London. So they were doing public displays of affection. And actually in Disneyland Paris, there was two foreign guys that were holding hands. So I thought that was really good, because a lot of the time it's against their culture or their religion, or it's frowned upon. But they were openly holding hands around the park walking, and they looked like they were only about 23, something like that as well. So I thought that was really good, because I'm like, good for you, like not caring. But obviously, some people, I have to warn you, if you are into foreign guys like I am, some foreign guys will kiss and cuddle in certain areas that people can't see them. So if they think it's a secret area where no one will recognize them, and where there's no chance of anyone really like exposing them as doing that, then they might do that with someone. And then if you're doing the dating scenario, you're thinking, oh, this is great. They're into public displays of affection, kissing, like maybe you are. But then when they're in different scenarios, they stop doing that, because it's just for the purposes of getting your attention and being with you, and kind of like not being totally honest that they're not really like that, but they're doing that with you only in certain circumstances when no one's watching. So if their family knew about that, or their friends knew about it, they wouldn't want those people to see you being like that with them. This is not true of all guys or people from different ethnicities. This is just true for some, because it's like they'll kiss and cuddle you in certain places that their parents can't see you, or their friends don't know about you. But when it comes to being around their friends or parents or anything like that, if they even decided to um introduce you to them, which obviously they've got to do if you want a serious relationship, then it's because they don't want their parents and family to know, or friends, that they're doing that, because it's like frowned upon in their culture or religion. And so in other words, they can't keep that act up. It's like an act they're putting on. It's not totally an act, because they're being themselves in that moment because they're like doing that, but it is an act in the sense they can't keep that up. It's something they don't usually do, and they're not going to carry on doing it with you. So I have to be very aware of this, because I do not want to get into a relationship with a guy who will kiss and cuddle me in certain circumstances, but when we're around his friends or whatever, he's not going to bother doing that, and it's going to be like we're just separate. and just hanging out with no romance or affection. I couldn't be doing with that in my life because I'm just not that type of girl, and I believe, like, and I know that I want a guy who's open like that, who doesn't care what people think. I need a guy who's very strong for me. I haven't found that guy yet, because it's going to take a really strong guy to be able to just hold my hand in public, and for me not even to worry about me, not even to bat an eyelid. You should never ever have to convince someone that you're worth having affection with. You should never have to be with someone in a relationship or dating scenario where you're having to convince them of something. If you're having to convince anyone and everything, that person's not the right person for you. They should naturally want to be with you, naturally want to hold your hand, naturally want to kiss and cuddle you. They should, you should be a priority to them, and you should be favored by them. You should be like, if I've got a guy and I'm on a date and he's like worried about what people think, like, oh, looking around, to me, that's just like, grow some balls. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you doing? Like, why do you give a shit what people think? These people don't care about you when you're dead. Why do you care about them when you're alive? They're strangers. They should mean nothing to you. The person who you're with, holding hands, or your partner should be the person that you're interested in, not all these people that don't matter. And the people that truly matter to you, your family and friends, if they're good family and friends and they care about you, and they care about you from a respectful point of view, respecting the way you want to live your life, then they should be happy for you. Right? If one of my friends gets into a relationship, I'm not gonna go dictating to them how they should live that relationship. If they should, want to kiss in public, they kiss in public. If they don't like kissing in public, they don't. One of my friends doesn't like kissing very much, who's asexual. And I don't, and I think that's fine, if they find someone else who's like that as well, that's fine, because they're not like me. They're more than likely on the aromantic spectrum, like grey romantic or something like that, but they're not totally sure at the moment. But you know what I mean? It's like, I don't try and make someone else be something they're not, but I need a guy, like everyone, who wants to get in a relationship needs someone who's compatible with them. I need a strong guy who will take my hand, kiss and cuddle me, not care what others think, be kind of like protective and supportive in a healthy way, not in a controlling way, not in like, you can't speak to this guy. It's like, speak to whatever guys you want because I trust you, but I won't have guys being bad to you or being rude to you, So I'll protect you from guys who are rude, insulting, or bad guys, but I won't control you, and I'll let you have your freedom to speak to whatever guys and people you want. I mean, that type of nice balance, of protection and care, as well as not controlling, is really what you want and need, or in general, to be healthy. Obviously, there are some people who have different exceptions to these rules, because everyone's different. I've seen some videos and documentaries where some women like to be told what to do by guys and be dominated. I hate that type of thing. I'm really not a submissive girl. So in terms of dominant and submissive, I prefer to have an equal relationship, an equality relationship. I don't think one person should dominate or control the other. I definitely think no one should be controlling anyone. But in terms of like dominance and submissiveness, I'm definitely not submissive. Like, don't like being told what to do, by a guy. So the guy's giving me advice, and it's healthy advice, and it's, like, from a caring point of view, like, oh, perhaps you'd like to do this, or, maybe you'd like to try this, that's different. But if a guy's telling me, oh, you need to do this, especially after I first met him, it's really bad. There was someone recently. Where did I can't remember where I met a person. Or was it actually on my travels? And he's like, "You need to do this." And I'm like thinking, "No, I don't." Any guy who says you need to do this is like telling me what to do. It's like, I'm not having it, I'm not interested in being told what to do by anyone. And any guy who says you should do this, especially when they don't even know me, is just ridiculous. So yeah, watch out for those type of people. But yeah, I do I love Disneyland Paris on my own. I had before previously thought it'd be nice if I met someone to go with a guy there. But I had an amazing time on my own. The beauty of going on your own is you can go on whatever rides you want when you want. I have like disability and health needs, so I have to take care of myself. To take care of myself is quite a task with all the things I have to do, like carry huge, big suitcases you probably saw with loads of changing clothes and food for my special dietary requirements, and then moisturizers and certain things that I can only take because I'm allergic to a lot of other things. And so being on my own is good from the point of view of like I've got no one to tell me what to do, obviously, but I've also got no one I have to worry about but me, because taking care of myself is a big effort and a lot to worry about and think about and stress about and anxious about, which I'd rather not get stressed or anxious, but I have anxious personality to a lot of extent because I have an anxiety condition. So it's, when I get very anxious and stressed, it would be nice to have someone else who was there who was quite relaxed and calm, going, "It's fine. Like, I'm here for you." That would be quite nice. I met my best friend yesterday, one of my best friends in London, and he was very good like that. He was like, "Oh, it's okay. We'll be fine. We'll make the train on time. Don't worry, I'm here." Like looking after me, and that's so sweet. He's a lovely guy. I really like him a lot. He's into guys though, not really into women that much. So he likes women romantically, but guys sexually. So guys overrule he's more into guys, basically. So yeah, but he's one of my best friends and he's amazing. So he takes really good care of me and I really get on well with him. So I do hug him because he's actually younger in birth certificate age than me. And but older. He's younger in birth certificate age, but in general much older. He's like an older person, and I'm like younger person. Um, so yeah, we always think of him as the older one and me as the younger one. So it's quite interesting. But he's really nice and kind and caring, honest, lovely person. I value him a lot. And so yeah, again, if I meet a guy in a dating relationship scenario and they don't treat me as well as my best friend, and I've just spoken about, and my other friend do, then I'm thinking is that there's no point in being with that guy, because if he can't even give me the basics of what my best friends do, then there's no point in me being with someone who's can't even give me that level of respect and protection and safety. You know what I mean? Like my friends, are very good. They're like, "Oh, let me know when you're home safe. Make sure you tell me when you get home." Both my best friends were doing that yesterday. Um, so that was really nice of them. And so I like that. So when you're doing dating relationships, just remember you need to know exactly what you like, what you dislike. You need to be looking for someone who's suitable for you. There's no good for me looking for someone who's older when I'm not interested in older guys. I do occasionally try and look for like older than I would usually go for, like early 30s, but a lot of those guys are far too old for me. I just don't feel comfortable like I do around guys in the early to mid 20s. Feel much more like, more my mindset, lifestyle age. Um, and so, yeah, for me, it was disappointing in the sense that there wasn't much romance or public displays of affection going on there. And I was shocked because I felt like an outsider in that way. But I felt good that it wasn't going to set off my hyper romanticism. And, everyone there is, the majority of the time, is pretty comfortable around each other, which was a very good thing at Disneyland Paris. Everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet, everyone's having a great time. And I love that about the place. Um, Going on my own was better in the sense that I can take care of myself. I don't have another person to worry about, because when I've got all my health needs and conditions, it's quite difficult being with someone in a relationship, because it's like they need to understand that I've got these things that are difficult for me and I can't help that. And so I need a guy that's really understanding and kind and caring and very, very patient, which is not usually character trait of many guys, patience, I wouldn't say. I would say quite a lot of guys are probably impatient. I don't know, but maybe that's just a interesting thing to try and observe over a period of time. But you know what I mean? I just need a certain type of guy for me. So I haven't met that right guy for me yet. But I was so glad I went on my own. I don't have a problem going on my own, because when I go on my own, when I say I don't have a problem, it was difficult doing the transportation. The traveling was awful, awfully hard. That was the worst bit. But in terms of actually being in Disneyland Paris itself, I really chilled out. I really had a great time. It was amazing. I definitely go again, even though it was hardcore with the traveling. Um, but yeah, I've still got footage to upload and stuff. So anyway, I just wondered what you thought of this video. I wondered where you think public displays of affection is dead, romance is dead. Was it just Disneyland Paris that it seemed to be that way in? Or do you observe around you that less people are holding hands these days, that less people are kissing and cuddling in public? Do you think there's less people showing affection? Because obviously we've got romantic movies going on, haven't we? And romantic adverts. But how much of that actual romance that you see on screen is actually these days translated into real romantic scenarios? Like the kissing, the cuddling, the holding hands. Is it just like in the movies? Like, is it just like in adverts, but it's not actually, people are not living in reality in that way? Is it just like fiction? A lot of people are going into their minds about that, but they're not actually acting on it. I really be really interested to see your thoughts on this, especially if you're a romantic person nature, because obviously if you're aromantic, maybe you didn't even know this. Maybe you didn't know that Disneyland Paris, actually, most people that I observed there weren't being romantic, because that would be a great place for you to go then. You'd have fun with all the animal characters. It'd be a whale of a time hanging out with your friends and stuff, and there's, not really romance going on. That would be a very good environment. And a majority of asexuals are aromantics. They lack romantic attraction. So if you're watching this video now, you'll be like, oh yes, our trip to Disneyland Paris sounds good. For me personally, it's like, if I was going with a partner, I would want to be kissing, cuddling nearly all the time, because that's what I'm like. So always like take time to reflect on yourself, reflect on your feelings, your own emotions, what your specific needs are. My parents don't show public displays of affection, just in case you're wondering. I'm the opposite to my parents. Like, very opposite to my parents. Very, very opposite. I love them to bits, though. I really do. But they're just, me and them are just so opposite to each other. It's quite strange, because they're definitely my parents, but you would think, because we're so different to each other, that we weren't from the same family, if you know what I mean. In terms of like the fact they love marriage, they've been married 54 years this month. And I hope I've got that right. They'll tell me off if I haven't, but 54 years this month. And then they like being married. It's good for them. And I'm proud of them for that. But I'm just not a marriage type. I used to be, but I'm not anymore. And they're not public displays of affection people. I am, and they're introverted and I'm extroverted, and the list goes on. So sometimes people say when you're dating relationship scenarios, you look for someone like your parents, but I definitely don't. I look for someone opposite in most ways. Not every way, but like they're honest, my parents. So I look for someone who's honest, that type of thing. So, and my parents give me really nice gifts for like my birthday. So I do like being given gifts. But quality time is my most important thing to me with a person. It's my love language. So yeah, anyway, love you and leave you for now. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. I've got loads more footage to upload from my trip for you to see. I'll see you soon in the next video live stream, which will most likely be a review about Disneyland Paris again. And unless anything happens in the meantime that I need to do a live stream about. But yes, so take care and I'll see you soon. Bye. And yeah, have a great day.